And John Gordon Hannam is elected as the member for Exeter.
So the Conservatives have taken this seat.
A 5.2% swing in Exeter to the Conservatives. This is wonderfully stable. We've talked about the expectation of regional variations, and except for the high swing in the West Midlands, in Wolverhampton, and now there must be in Bilston, we have got almost all the other swings have been in the range of 4 to 5%, except the North East.
And here are the figures now for this Conservative gain.
82% turnout, that's the highest we've had yet, only it's 1.3 down. They vote heavily in the southwest, and the Liberal got 13.6% of the vote, saved his deposit, but and might have cost Mrs Dunwoody the seat, but she was beaten by enough. I don't think it's probably that he can be blamed, if you call it blame, for that result.
Yes, Mrs Gwyneth Dunwoody, one of the Labour aristocracy, so to speak, the daughter of Morgan Phillips, and a husband and wife team in the House of Commons. Dr John Dunwoody as well, in the House of Commons for a nearby seat, Falmouth.
And Harold Lever has held Manchester Cheetham, and I think we ought to say that that's a husband and wife team that's broken up there, and John Hannam comes from the next county, from Somerset.
That's right, he's manager of a motel group, an industrialist.
Now let's catch up with the state of the parties with that first gain and first loss on it. Robert Mackenzie.
Well, there we are, at 11 minutes past midnight, 10 each. Labour, of course, is counting, they're counting in Labour-held seats to a preponderant extent tonight. Labour have suffered one loss in the upper right-hand corner. The Tories need to turn that into 33 net losses for Labour in order to knock out Labour's majority. They need to get their own gains up to 53 net to be sure of an overall majority. But on the swing, which is settling in around 5.7, you'll see here in the party lead board that the parties are equal at the moment on the first 20 of the results, with 610 to come. The swing is settling down between 5 and 6, and this is pointing to somewhere 50, 70, 90, nearer 90, I expect, probable lead for the Conservatives over Labour at the end of the day. But still, we won't know that. It will vary a bit, but amazingly uniform, the swing so far.
But let's catch up with some kind of a prediction on that, really, Graham Pyatt.
Well, I said earlier when I spoke that the Con lead over Lab was likely to be the order of 100, plus or minus 30. I'd like to take advantage of most of that 30 at this stage and say that the best prediction now is probably for a Conservative lead over Labour of about 70 seats.
Ah, you say 70. I don't understand. You say 70, and over the top of you it said 81. So let's correct one. No, it's all right. It's gone now. But anyway, let's get it right. You say 70.
70 is my latest.
Plus or minus how much?
Oh, I think 25 plus or minus still.
Good. Now let's get a reaction to that West Country result. Let's go down to Plymouth and Keith Blacker.
Well, this is a disaster for the Labour Party in the southwest, who had every expectation of holding this. And on the basis of that result, we can say not only is the husband and wife partnership of Dr. John Dunwoody and Gwyneth Dunwoody broken up, but on this basis, John Dunwoody is quite likely to lose his seat at Falmouth Camborne tomorrow morning. But the Tories had made a very big effort to recapture this seat. They'd sent in Tory workers from the safe belt of Tory seats right across mid-Devon, and they'd worked really hard to capture this seat. They thought they might do it. I think they were more in hopes than expectation, but they've done it, and it is a disaster for the Labour Party right across the southwest.
Let's take a quick look now at some of the results. First of all, from Solihull, where the Rover cars come from, the safe Conservative seat.
5.2% swing, the lowest swing we've yet had from the West Midlands.
Percy Creve, a very big committee man in the House of Commons, but a man who doesn't speak very often in the chamber of the House itself.
Leeds South East.
Here's another 5.2% swing in the first result we've had from Yorkshire. Again, confirmation of an even nationwide picture that we're getting. Slightly lower, those last two swings, than some of the ones we've been having.
This is Alice Bacon, one of the most brilliant members of the Parliamentary Labour Party and an outright critic of the left wing of her party, the scourge of the left.
She's not standing now.
No,
no,
we said it was hers. Now, where the Warrington Rugby League Club comes from, the wire pullers, as they're called.
And a 4.9% swing there on the Lancashire-Cheshire border.
Yes, this is Thomas Williams back again, one of the few members of Parliament in the House now representing his third constituency.
And Tunbridge, where the school is, Richard Hornby, Conservative Member of Parliament.
Yes, a very liberal Conservative, and a man who at some time seemed to be in danger in his own constituency from very right-wing Conservatives, as was Nigel Fisher.
5.7% swing there in the first result we've had from Kent.
And here's another one from Lancashire, Wigan. There it is.
And a 5.6% swing in Wigan. Here we've had 4 swings in a row, all between 5 and 6%.
This is Alan Fitch, the Northwest Whip.
A former miner and Liverpool, Scotland. Merseyside area of northwest Liverpool, this is.
And a swing to the Labour Party here of 0.7%, but the swing to the Labour Party, the first thing that's gone to Labour, but it's an area where the swing to them doesn't help them very much.
This is a tribute to Walter Aldred, one of the leading Roman Catholics in the Labour Party.
He's only the...
And Manchester Cheetham.
A 6.7% swing there against Harold Lever, a much bigger swing than the one we had in Liverpool. Perhaps there's a big difference between the 2 big Lancashire cities.
Yes, Harold Lever not as successful in his constituency as in the House and the government, because he has been a very successful minister as Paymaster General, and incidentally he was the richest man in the Labour cabinet.
This is very much the inner bit of Manchester, the business and commercial bit, and there's been falling electorate, and now... And... Stand by. Conservatives gain Keighley. So our second gain of the night goes up. The Conservatives have gained Keighley. Right?
And, well, that involves a big swing, but it's the sort of thing we would expect on the Leeds result. It certainly puts about 5 Labour seats in the West Riding in jeopardy.
Yes, sorry.
Go on.
No, this is Miss Joan Hall has won this seat now. She's really one of the most effective campaigners that the Conservative Party have had. She's the lady who often greets the Conservative Party conference with the fist sign of the boxer. She's been called the Conservative Party's answer to Mrs. Barbara Castle. Well, she's certainly given some kind of answer tonight.
And Arthur Skeffington has held on, and that's our computer forecast, which confirms what Graham Pyatt was saying just now. It doesn't cut right across him like he was a couple of minutes ago. We heard that Manchester Exchange has been held by Will Griffiths. Now I think Robert Mackenzie is almost ready even at this moment. He's getting some instructions over there. And Dick Taverne has held on to Lincoln for Labour.
Well, that's hardly surprising.
Let's take Manchester Exchange. Let's have a look at the figures of Manchester Exchange. There it is. Takes its name from the Royal Exchange. This is the home of the Harry Orchestra. As I was saying, that's Will Griffiths.
3.1% swing to Labour, to the Conservatives in Manchester Exchange.
And Rotherham.
And a 3.2% swing to the Conservatives in Rotherham in the Yorkshire coalfield.
This is Brian O'Malley back again, one of the few members of Parliament, must be the only one, I imagine, who runs his own dance band. He's, of course, supported by the Musicians' Union.
And now we're going to Birmingham for a declaration. I think, looking there quickly, it's Birmingham Ladywood.
Pardon? How's that? Will you tell me when we're ready for it?
Ready now.
You see the gentleman coming. Right now? Right. Parliamentary election, Birmingham Ladywood constituency, the 18th of June 1970. I, the undersigned, being the returning officer for the constituency above mentioned, hereby give notice that the total number of votes given for each candidate at the election was as follows. Namely, Doris Mary May. Gertrude Fisher.
Labour.
5067, I beg your pardon. Wallace Leslie Lawler.
Liberal.
4087. Charles Lawrence Wade.
Conservative.
2523. The majority of 980 for Doris Fisher. And that the undermentioned person has been duly elected to serve as member for the said constituency. Doris...
Well, David, come
The
on.
smallest electorate in the country, Ladywood has given Labour its first gain of the night. It's not very significant in the national picture because, of course, Ladywood was a seat that was quite outside the ordinary. The Liberals have lost Wallace Lawler from Parliament, and this is bad news for them, but I don't think it gives us much indication of what would happen in other seats, because Ladywood is a natural Labour seat.
And yes, Barbara Castle has held on to hers, just by the way.
Yes, indeed. Mrs. Doris Fisher has been nursing this constituency very, very carefully during the time that Lawler has been in the House of Commons, because it's the same candidate that Lawler had to fight before.
There we are.
The full result at Birmingham Ladywood.
And he was a Birmingham City Councillor and an expert on housing, but he's out, so the Liberal total at the moment is Don?
It's a very impressive Liberal vote and would be, in any circumstances, a sensational result if it wasn't the Liberals had won the seat in the by-election last year.
No, that's quite right, and of course it is a terrific blow, really, to the Liberal Party, this one, because they'd base a complete electoral strategy in some ways on the Lawler strategy in an industrial area, the grassroots approach to support in the party.
Well, let's see if that's supported when we go up now to Birmingham and Geoffrey Priest. Birmingham.
Well, that special kind of Lawler Liberal strategy in a special kind of seat may only have worked under these special circumstances. Ladywood, the smallest division in the country, very much a redeveloped constituency, massive blocks of multi-storey flats, people out of slums into these new conditions with all kinds of problems, which they've gone to Wallace Lawler and also to Doris Fisher to solve. It may be that the problems of Ladywood are sorting themselves out. One interesting thing, even though it is the smallest constituency in the country, with an electorate of 18,000 odd, it still seemed to me a very small poll indeed. The one thing that you can say about Ladywood with certainty, and it still seems to be true, is that whoever's top, the Conservatives are always bottom. Cliff?
Geoffrey, now there's one quick thing I ought to say, and that was over the top of you, but you couldn't see it, was the Conservatives have held Warwick and Leamington. I'm sure that's the greatest surprise you've had of the night.
Well, it's almost as big a surprise as Solihull, actually. Flabbergasted.
Now let's go down to Exeter, and I'm sure that Richard Kershaw down there. Richard?
Yes, I'm here. I've got John Hannam with me, who is the first victor, as was Mrs. Gwyneth here last time. How do you feel now?
Terribly elated.
Did you think this was going to happen on your canvass returns?
Quite confident all the way through the election campaign, yes.
What have been the issues here that you found people have sparked up about? What are the big issues that have made your campaign?
I think the same issues as in the other parts of the country. Rise in the cost of living, taxation. Quite a number of old people living in Exeter deeply concerned about the rise in prices. But the big local issue, more than any other, has been selective employment tax, which has hit very hard at the southwest economy.
I hear that there was a little trouble outside. What happened? Was there anything
serious?
Well,
I think some left-wing students determined to stop anyone speaking, and of course a few things were thrown, and something did hit.
This was when you went out to have the public declaration outside?
Yes, the public outside, yes.
And congratulations on being the first victor of this election. This is Richard Kershaw in Exeter, returning you to London.
Thank you.
We now have the full figures from Keighley. Here they are.
That must represent something like a 6% swing to the Conservatives for their second gain of the night.
Quick word there.
Yes,
Alan?
John Binns is a trade unionist on the right wing of the Labour Party, but as I was saying before, it's really Joan Hall who was the remarkable candidate here in terms of publicity, a tremendous fighting candidate, this Joan Hall. Obviously a darling of the party conferences.
And Conservative have gained Hornchurch.
Well, that is the first gain in the London area. It's one that they would be gaining on this sort of swing. It was one of those seats that was just on the margin that would go with the government. That has gone with the government that's going to be the Heath government.
Yes, there was a new man here, wasn't there?
Yes, John Loverbridge.
Yeah. Let's ask Bob Wellings about this, because there was old member stood down, now new one stood up.
Well, this just fits in the entire trend of 5 to 6% swing, and the first result we had in the southeast, Guildford, with this extraordinary beginning of the swing. Now, this indicates that there are some 22 seats in the southeast which could go to the Conservatives, including, of course, Robert Maxwell's at Buckingham. So it's just part of the whole picture, Cliff.
Well, it's something to note that, in fact, George Brown could be out under this kind of...
Oh, certainly. Quite a lot of people could be out under this sort of thing.
I mean, George Brown among them is what I'm saying. And now I see John Burns is in Leeds. Can we have a quick word from you, John?
Well, the Conservatives in Yorkshire are absolutely delighted, of course. The Conservatives delighted in Yorkshire that Joan Hall has gained Keighley. She raised the Conservative vote by 25% last time in Barnsley. She stood against Roy Mason twice in Barnsley. The kind of woman that Alan Watson was talking about, 6 feet of charm and vitality against Johnny Binns, the local boy who made good. And she becomes now only the second Conservative in 25 years to represent Keighley. The previous one who won it in 1959 was Marcus Worsley, the brother of the Duchess of Kent. A very good win by Joan Hall there, and the Conservatives I know in Yorkshire absolutely delighted and looking now to win possibly up to 10 more seats in Yorkshire.
John, we'll ask you to keep your eye on them for us, if you will. Meanwhile, we'll get our eye fixed on to Robert Mackenzie.
State of the party is at 24 minutes past 12. Now, there's bound to be some confusion, I think, about the fact that Labour is leading 20-14, and people might say, why isn't Labour headed for victory? The point is that 2/3 of the seats counted tonight are already Labour held. We therefore expect Labour to remain in the lead, even though they're going to lose the election when the rural and other constituencies come in tomorrow. So far, Labour has made one gain from the Liberals at Ladywood, Birmingham Ladywood. They've lost 3 to the Conservatives. They've lost Exeter, Keighley and Hornchurch to the Conservatives, and that